Morning all, it's Wednesday the 2nd of October. Looking at some breakfast trades this morning, we were really spoilt for choice. First one which I didn't get involved in is the euro, although it does look that we've had some sort of quite reasonable patterns developing. The early pattern, as we can see, came out of this double bottom in the early hours, got a higher low, got another little higher low, but then we had the break. It just could not get above that previous high, and then what do we get? We just get the cave in, and it came down to do a triple bottom. You can see the value finder there is finding the value, and then away we went on a pretty sort of dramatic spike up, and then it sort of hit some fibs and can't quite make its mind up whether we're going to get moving higher now against that weaker dollar this morning. The one that is probably one of the best ones, we've got far too many lines on here just at the moment. Let's just modify that. Right, I've just knocked the sensitivity back a shade, so we've now just got the key lines, butterfly levels there, and a 1.414 picking out the recent top. However, what have we got overnight? Well, we've got the low around about 230, 245, and then we've got a succession of high lows. We've got then a breakout higher, deep pullback, and we've got a real key candle here. We can just see that one kicked off 8 o'clock. The 8 o'clock move is the best one. Some of those earlier trades are not working nearly as well as the later trades, the 7:30, 8 o'clocks, and we can see that by what has actually happened this morning. So as soon as we've got an engulfing, it's got a very clear short-term uptrend, and it's just a question of just riding this trend up there for quite a reasonable number of little pips before taking partial profits, and we can then just sort of roll it along for wherever it's going to go from there. So initial profits well worth having. Just keep a piece of the action on to see if it will go somewhat further, although right now we've actually just got this this one picked off. Trend lines, marvelous things. Trend lines, look at this, we just follow this short-term trend line up to capture the first place where we might want to take partial profits, and that was just in here as the line broke. And just look how I've just left the line on, and how it's just picked up that previous high. So often trend lines go from support to resistance, resistance to support, and so on. And a place to illustrate that is what happened with the Jappy this morning. We've got the USD JPY moving down. Haven't actually got the highs and lows on here, but just looking at the trend line, see that we've got this sort of line picked up there, and if we just put a parallel on it, then this line, which was providing support, then gets broken, and lo and behold, it now becomes resistance. Price may well be deciding to break back up through here, and so whichever time that one actually gets in, you can sort of see that there's a nice little harami just over here, and there we are, 7:40. That was the time, UK time, that one kicked off. 7:40 as it broke and just resumed the downtrend, and then we got a really nice little run on down there, well worth 35 to 40 pips before it then decided to put in this consolidation. Now I've actually put another line in which is actually parallel to these, picking up that previous one, and it's entirely possible that we may well get price sort of deciding it's going to move all the way on down to 97. So that's the beauty of trading in multiple contracts, lots, spread bet sizes or whatever, in that one can take partial profits and then just keep part of it running for what might possibly run on for the rest of the day. The euro yen worked marvelously as well. 5-minute chart, as we can see, it's just moved along, got an overnight low, and then we get a consolidation with that harami again. We can see that harami in the same place, and there was a slightly better set of profits to be had out of the euro yen than just purely the yen itself before it just decided to come to an end and then bounce on back up. But the downtrend is now established, so it's entirely possible that this may well sort of roll over and decide that it's going to go to lower levels. And finally, the Australian dollar. So here we are. We've got the Australian dollar tumbled down overnight, set itself up for a beautiful little series of support levels which were waiting to be broken and broken they were. And there we are, we've got the overnight low. It was broken, and that was support previously. It becomes resistance. Nice little narrow range candle, much the same sort of time that the others kicked off, and on down we go. So what do you do? The problem then becomes, of course, which one do you actually trade, or do you trade them all, or just what do you actually do? Well, this morning I've actually traded through a couple of these. I traded the yen position because I feel that all this talk about the yen sort of weakening has been sort of well and truly overdone. And what are we finding this morning? The US dollar is actually the weak one, and the Japanese yen is getting stronger. And the cable move, well, it was too good to miss. It was a beautiful chart, and there we are with that very, very clear engulfing there. It was just crying out to be traded. Stood aside on the euro, stood aside on the euro yen, and I stood aside on the Australian dollar, because these are, generally speaking, these are all dollar related plays. So we're just playing off the US dollar weakening, and it's probably not a good idea to have too many trades on what is effectively the same basis. But what does have sort of more than one position on then the same sort of basis, in this case the US dollar weakening, then always got to keep a close eye on the money management and make sure that those 2% limits are never exceeded. Right, okay, so that's breakfast trades.